We've got breaking news for Bitcoin. Its legendary blue dot has disappeared, but this leaves a huge clue as to what is about to happen next. In today's video, I'm going to break down this blue dot, what it means, and the disappearing act has a huge clue for you, and we are going to uncover it. On top of that, Bitcoin has broken out of this pattern, and I'm going to explain what happens next because of this pattern. Down below, Bitcoin has also broken out of this pattern with this green head moving above this yellow. This has huge implications and it all ties together. That clue that we are missing joins with this one and joins with this one, and I'm going to explain what this means for Bitcoin going forward with a huge move potentially on the horizon. Let's get into it. Because of the overwhelming flood of emails after we sold out, we are reopening the Exit Plan Masterclass, but only for the next 12 hours. If you miss it this time, you're on your own. Just know, 99% of traders will exit wrong. One mistake, one panic, one crash could erase your entire portfolio. Stop worrying and get my exit plan strategy. Imagine waking up to a crash and feeling calm because you already exited like a pro. Plus, if you sign up right now, you will immediately unlock a special altcoin bonus video. Use crypto at the checkout to save an extra $300. Go now, cryptocrewuniversity.com. So here we are, Bitcoin US dollar index, and today we're on the weekly chart. Shout out for the double upload, by the way. What we've got is our blue dot has disappeared. We are on the weekly chart. And if you go to the 6-day chart and the 5-day chart and the 4-day chart, it's showing a blue dot. And for those of you who are like, what is this blue dot? What is this thing anyway? I want to drop some knowledge on this. This is the hash ribbons. The hash ribbons essentially has two lines on the chart, a green and this gray one. The green one is the fast one and the gray one is the slow one. They're both measuring the same thing. In the most simplest form, this hash ribbons represents when miners give up, when they capitulate, when they're like, you know what, F this, I'm done. When the miners are done, it signals to smart investors, whales, that, hey, this is a pretty good time to buy Bitcoin because you see some blood in the streets. Then when the miners are giving up, whales enter. Enter hash ribbon signal. So when it prints this blue dot, that means a specific thing. Let me walk you through it. If you say, okay, well, there's these green dots too. What do those mean? Well, the green dots, or these dots coming here, is simply signals when this capitulation starts. And when this capitulation ends is when that slow moving average, which measures the hash rate, the slow moving average is a moving average of more recent stuff. And this gray moving average is a longer moving average of the same thing. And the blue dot comes when the slow line moves below and crosses back up. When the slow line moves below, you start printing these greens. And the green tells us that, hey, the miners are having trouble. Like, these guys are about to give up. They've started giving up and it's starting to get really bad. And when that slow line crosses back above, it signals to traders and investors like, hey, that bad time that the miners were having, like giving up and there was blood in the street, that period is over and we should be going up from here. In other words, we just had this devastating time. Now the worst is behind us and it should be smooth sailing from now. That is what tells smart investors, heavy hitters, like, hey, this is probably a pretty logical time to buy. When those miners, they were giving up, there was blood in the streets, but hey, we're in the clear now. That bad period has ended. That's what this blue dot is. So sometimes there is no blue dot after the green. You can see the green starting here, which signals to the market like, hey, the miners are giving up. This is pretty bad, and it got pretty bad, but it never truly recovered. It kept getting worse for the miners, and the blue dot printed here when that bad period was over. Case in point, this blue dot right here. Does that make sense? So right there, you're probably looking, you're like, damn, I never understood the hash ribbons like this. Well, we're a channel of learning. You come here, you get facts in the charts, you learn, you very rarely get an emotional opinion from me, but when you come here, you learn, and you know that I'm going to spit facts to you without any BS or fluffing anything up. That's why you come back. Now that we understand the hash ribbons, why did this dot disappear? I'm going to let you in on a big secret. The reason that this thing disappeared, it could spell something much bigger. We're going to come back, and towards the end of the video, I'm going to unveil what that bigger thing is. But first, let's get to the top of the screen, then to the bottom of the screen, because these things are huge breaking news here. Top of the screen. Now, when I showed you guys this chart last time, I didn't even reference this pattern, and so many of you picked up in the comments, so I appreciate it. Now I'm going to reference it because sometimes I draw stuff on the charts for myself, and I don't even realize people are seeing it because it's really a note to myself. But this is called a falling wedge. What the hell is a falling wedge? Well, when you see a bullish move, right? This could be considered our flagpole. Essentially, a falling wedge is very close to a bull flag. You've seen me cover a bull flag. You understand that those are parallel lines with 3 touch points on the top and 3 on the bottom. These are non-parallel lines. In other words, you have continued lower highs and continued lower lows, and these lines are converging together, right? So a falling wedge, by definition, is typically found at the top of a rally, and I'm going to unveil whether it's bullish or bearish and what we can expect. But let's get some foundational rules for a falling wedge. What you want to see are 3 touch points on the top. You want to see 3 touch points on the bottom. You want the top line to act as resistance. You want the bottom to act as support. You want the top line to represent resistance, but to very specific resistance of lower highs, meaning we had a high here on January 20th, and the next time we made a high, it was lower. And the next time we made a high, it was lower. And the next time we made a high, it was lower. And you want at least 3 of those. Now, to the bottom line, you want this to act as support, and you want this to act as support specifically for lower lows. We made a low here. Our next low was lower. Our next low was lower, so on and so forth. You want at least 3. Now that we have 3 for the top, 3 for the bottom, and these lines are coming together, this is a signal to the market that we've had a break of said trend lines here. Right? What we see in the chart right here is this candle that we just printed was our breakout candle. What we're waiting for now is a confirmation candle. The confirmation candle comes after the breakout, and it confirms to traders that this pattern has confirmed, right? Some people will take a trade inside of here. Those are the ones that are just guessing. Some people will take a trade on the first candle that's out. Those are the people that haven't really understood risk and reward. And really smart traders are not going to worry about the price action that's missed. They're going to worry about the confirmation because they understand risk and reward, and they understand to minimize risk, maximize reward. They understand that there are no certainties, there are probabilities, and they understand when a pattern has a confirmation candle, there's a much higher chance that this pattern will play out as opposed to taking a trade blindly with the hope that it's going to work out, right? It's a game. This is a sport, and this is for professionals, right? This is how a professional looks at said pattern. What does it mean? Well, essentially, when you have this falling wedge, it acts pretty much the same as a bull flag, which is simply to say it's a continuation pattern, a bullish continuation pattern. What does that mean? Well, what happened in the market is we had this big rally here, right? We can see that. It doesn't take somebody who's been in crypto for 27 years to realize that this is a large move to the upside. What you typically see happen after a large move is consolidation, gaining structure. And if that moves in a downward trajectory, that's typically bullish. A lot of people think it should move in an upward trajectory after consolidating. No. What you want to see is a downward move. And it means it's a continuation pattern of the prior move. What's the prior move? This one. In other words, this is signaling to the market that a break and a confirmation of here could signal a continuation of this move that we had prior, which would obviously be legendary. Now, let's get to the bottom of our screen. By the way, if you really want to sign up to the masterclass, but it's way over your budget, I have good news. I'll share with you later in the video. What we notice with the bottom of our screen, and this is what I showed you last week. This is an update from that, and then we'll get to what does it mean with this hidden blue dot here. This is the RSI. The RSI is set up on your chart as such with this, right? The RSI length is here, but what we have is this other RSI based moving average in yellow. You can see it checked here. What you notice is a particular pattern that plays out time and time again. Take a look. We just spent 100 to 200 days as resistance to said yellow line, not up for debate. We've done that many times before and had a breakout. I prepared you for the breakout last week. Now take a look. A couple hundred days below here, breakout, not up for debate. What happened before? A couple hundred days below here, breakout. When did it break out? Well, it broke out right when we were starting this huge move. That's not up for debate. These are just facts here. I'm not giving you any emotional opinions, but these repeat. Take a look at this here. From May 1st, 2023 until October 9th, 2023, we spent 200 days as resistance here, and we broke above here. When we broke above, that's the exact time that we moved out of consolidation. In other words, Bitcoin moves up, consolidates for a couple hundred days. Moves up, consolidates for a couple hundred days. Moves up, consolidates for a couple hundred days. It's a pretty easy game. When does it break out? When it breaks out of this RSI moving average, when it breaks above here. It did so every single time so far. Here is a caveat to that. When we had the market cycle top in 2021, we went into this devastating 1 to 200 days, but we broke above here. We broke above here only to make the double top. This turned into a failed rally, and a failed rally led to a downfall. What you want to see is anything but this. You do not want to see a failed rally. The only way to make a non-failed rally is to have the weekly RSI deviate from the pattern it's been repeating for 400 days. We cannot see a quick weekly stochastic RSI cross down in the next 3 weeks. We can't see that. We need this to last 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks of this stochastic RSI cross. And if it does, that will certainly lead us to a new all-time high. And if that is true, we need this stochastic RSI on the 2-week chart to be above 40, 50, 60. That would spell an absolute, really an explosion in the Bitcoin market and the altcoin market. And anything that resembles what we did in 2021 with this chart right here, bloodbath is next, right? We need to deviate from the plan. This is Bitcoin's test. Now back to the blue dot. So now we better understand it's a bullish in the candlesticks. We're waiting for a confirmation. It technically means that it's a continuation, a bullish continuation of this move, not up for debate. These are all just plain old facts, right? We understand bottom of our screen, bullish also, right? So top of our screen, bullish, bottom of our screen, bullish. Well, what the hell is going on with the blue dot then? Here's what's going on with the blue dot, and here's the hidden agenda. When you go to any of these time frames, right? When you go to the 6 day, right? We have a blue dot. We'll go to it real quick. Blue dot. When you go to the 5 day, you've got blue dot, right? You have 4 day, blue dot, 3 day. What does that tell us as traders and investors? Well, it tells us that on time frames slightly smaller, on all of them, we've had this hash ribbons cross, meaning we had miners start to capitulate here back in February, and we've had miners capitulate during that time, and that miners have recovered, and they have sort of marked the area of that bloodbath is over. And they're starting to come back, and it signaled to the market that potentially whales should buy, and that is on time frames that are slightly lower. Now, let me ask you this. Would the blue dot come first in higher time frames or lower? It would obviously come first in lower. So what does it mean for the higher time frame? Well, it means that on all of the frames that are slightly lower, we are check mark, check mark, check mark, check mark, blue, 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 which means it could be coming to the weekly chart, potentially, given market fundamentals and what is potentially happening with the miners at the moment. In my opinion, everything is reliant on this weekly stochastic RSI cross and us deviating from that 400-day pattern that played out pound for pound, move for move in 2021. But on our side, we have a weekly stochastic RSI cross. We have a bullish pattern playing out here and the RSI bullish pattern. It needs to deviate from the 2021 plan. Shout out to my OG fans. Shout out to all my students. Double upload today. I hope you guys have a beautiful rest of your day. Earlier, I mentioned if you are somebody who really wants the masterclass, but it's way over your budget, here is the good news. Since the beginning of this company, we have always helped every single person in need. So if you are a single mom, a single dad, a vet, somebody who's disabled, somebody who's in a really tough financial situation, or somebody just from a less fortunate country, send me an email right now. I have helped every single person in need, and we will continue to do so. Email me now, info@cryptocrewuniversity.com. Tell me your situation, and I will help every single person in need.